You probably know what's about to happen. It's July 17th, 2016, and Melee is on the biggest stage in fighting games. There are 2 players remaining in the Evolution Melee bracket, 2 players who had spent the last 5 years engaging in one of the craziest arms races Melee had ever seen, remaking the game in their own image in the process. First meeting in 2010, nobody could have expected the lengths to which this rivalry would go, and I don't think it would have come as a shock to many to call this one of the more forgettable rivalries between the gods of the game when Mango and Armada were standing right there. But Hungrybox and Armada had seen more Grand Finals appearances in this time period than many could count on both hands. And to have perhaps a turning point in their rivalry come here, on the grandest of stages, was symbolic in a way. This is an iconic moment, but HBox and Armada don't know that yet. They only have their history up until this fateful day in Las Vegas, and before we see what comes next, there is so much more you need to know. So let's run it back.
Armada is going into Grand Finals in a commanding fashion. Does not get the tag.
Tearing up half of the losers bracket. Hungrybox is going to have his opportunity right now.
My name is Adam Lindgren, and I'm better known by the gamer tag Armada. I am the former world champion in Melee, and currently a Twitch streamer playing Mario 64.
The Grand Finals matchup between Hungrybox on the loser's side and Armada on the winner's side would mark the 29th matchup between these 2 players. And while this set stands on its own as one of the greatest in Melee history, what pushes it over the top is the context underlying it. The pair avoided each other on Armada's first visit to the United States for Genesis 1. But at Apex 2010, one of Melee's greatest and perhaps most forgettable rivalries got its start. And the reason I say forgettable here was because it was a wash. HBox 2-0'd Armada in winter semis and 3-0'd him in grands. Where the rest of America's strongest had failed, Hungrybox, considered at the time to be one of the weaker members of the 5 gods, stood strong.
A player like Hungrybox, another play-to-win character, he's not going to rush in and just get taken advantage of. He's smart, he's patient. That's a real problem for Armada. I can't seem to find an opening at all. And he beats me very solidly, like 2-0, and I have to go into losers.
With Hungrybox, it was more trying to expose the weaknesses of each in the matchup. And after playing in Apex 2010, I was not of the mentality that it's about winning one game or even one set. I'm more of the mentality that I need to win the most long term. And if I don't feel like I can do that in a matchup, then I don't feel like it's worth it.
But half a year later, Armada was back, and he had a secret weapon. Like, literally a secret. He made every player from Sweden keep it under wraps for like a while.
It was a Norwegian player, Tomberry, and it was one tournament in Sweden. I think his controller had broken or something like that, so he kind of like just played Young Link. He didn't take the tournament as serious, but he had a good Young Link. And I do remember seeing him doing well against like quite a few Peaches. And then I was thinking like, well, if Young Link can do possibly pretty good against Peach, then that might apply to Puff as well. So I started to like test around playing the matchup against Android for a little bit, Aniolas for a little bit, and I started to, see things in the matchup that this can work. The community in Sweden was quite small at the time, and the only people that knew about the Young Link pick prior were the Swedes. And I had full faith that if I told them that I want this to remain a secret, then I had full faith that none of them would spoil it, right? Because I believe they wanted me to win in that potential matchup, right? The only thing, like, besides, Smashboard or, like, Facebook maybe, you had YouTube videos, but we made sure not to record any of these matches as well.
And Hungrybox had no idea what hit him. Their matchup at Pound 5 was utter destruction.
We were about to start, and he was like, wait, are you playing Young Link? And with a smile on my face, I was like, I'm playing Young Link.
I looked at him, and I'm like, you going Young Link? He's like, yes. And first sentence, like...
He was like, okay.
All right, first and foremost, I gotta say, oh my goodness. Wow. All right.
Everyone's getting ready for the super long Peach Puff matchup, and then boom. Young Link.
Armada's Young Link was simply too fast and killed too early for Hungrybox's Jigglypuff to keep up. The bomb to dare conversions were vicious, and not to mention, pretty much no one played Young Link at this time. It wasn't exactly the fastest set, but Armada was explosive when he needed to be, and was too slippery for Hungrybox to catch him with the big rests. At Genesis 2, Armada had to prove that Young Link wasn't just a fluke. He knew Hungrybox wasn't going to be caught off guard this time, and he couldn't rely on bomb confirms or any of these quote-unquote early kills. And that was fine. He had told people before the tournament that he wanted to time Hungrybox out, which ultimately led to one of the most dramatic round ends in fighting game history.
That countdown! Oh! He should wait on the platform! He has to wait! Smart! Oh! Yo! 9, 7, 6, 5!
Despite failing in spectacular fashion in Game 1, Armada would pull it together, even finding the timeout he was so desperately seeking in Game 3 on a Congo jungle counterpick that had the commentary convinced that Melee was dying right before their eyes. The best players in the world were running away from each other.
Top players in the world and don't know how to approach is f***ing embarrassing, man. Embarrassing. It really is, man. Now he just has to cheese for 30 seconds.
Hungrybox, I don't know if my reps or something.
I mean, he might as well. It shouldn't be too hard for him. I mean, he's been doing it for 8 minutes.
Armada wants to time him out. He told me this. He said he wants to time him out.
That's lame as though.
I think better not grab.
There's a countdown. It's a... Uh-oh, 9. Wackest f***ing set in the world. Oh, nice. Damn.
Go
whack.
Go cheer for this.
They're playing the sudden death out anyway. They're playing the sudden death out like bosses. Armada won that anyway.
Oh my God, you suck!
So whack. Armada's just as whack. I mean,
I want to see the sheet.
Yeah, I want to see him. I think Hungrybox got a switch, man.
Regardless of how you may feel about that, you can't really argue with the results. Hungrybox won their next matchup at Apex 2012, but Armada got him in the run back in losers. That would start a 5-set win streak for the Swede, all of it with the young Link.
It already was a rumor at that Apex that he was going to play Ness. I'd seen him play, I think it was the same Apex. It might have been 2012, but I think it was the same Apex where he had played Ness against various tall players in friendlies and actually done pretty well. So I knew he had a good Ness. So going into that set at Apex 2013, I knew it was a possibility, but first of all, from my point of view, if I pick Young Link, worst case that can happen is, I guess, either of the characters, since the Ness is kind of unknown, right? But if I do pick Peach, and he does pick Puff, then I know that that's the worst case scenario. So even if I knew the Ness was on the board, I know that I'm not going to win Peach Puff. Like, he's a lot better at the matchup, and the matchup is very much a struggle for Peach. And I hadn't practiced the matchup for years at that point either. So it was like, it's not worth it to play the matchup at all. So from my point of view, it was more like, all right, I'll pick Young Link, and then he can pick whatever character he wants. I do remember he popped off as he won the double blind, if you can call it that. But I was like, all right, I've never played Young Link Ness, but it's Ness. This character is somehow even worse than my character. So I'm sure it's going to be at least winnable, right? And it was it was 2 close games, absolutely. And I think it was probably the first and only time that matchup will ever happen.
So now it was Hungrybox's turn to adapt. There was the Ness, there was the Falco, and how could we ever forget the H-Fox? Games were taken, sure, but never sets. It took a while, but eventually H-Box realized the answer was in front of him the whole time.
So at this point, when I had lost 2 sets, I never believed that it was impossible to win in the matchup. I do think, even to this day, it's probably not that bad of a matchup. I think both me and Hungrybox pretty early on said that Puff wins, but probably not by too much. But the thing for me was like, even if the matchup is like very possible and winnable, I only play Young Link against Hungrybox. No other player, period, right?
At EVO 2014, H-Box finally put the Young Link in the ground for good. His Falco got ruined in Game 1 of the best of 3, and after some deep thought, H-Box turned the game timer on, switched to Puff, and ditched the chair. You as a viewer can decide for yourself which of these changes mattered the most, but the result was a swift reverse 2-0, at least by this matchup standards, to put Hungrybox in winners finals. Armada made it back for the run back in losers, and this one was much closer. Armada forced a Game 5 and even had the lead midway through. Clutchbox hadn't really been a thing for that long by this point, but he absolutely did show up here, a major turning point in their rivalry.
And that is it! Hungrybox beats Armada! He is guaranteed a top 2 spot! Oh my gosh!
Now, Armada did spend most of the rest of 2014 in Europe. At his only other major of the year, the Big House 4, Hungrybox had failed to make top 8, so the two wouldn't meet again until Paragon 2015. Once again, Armada had many months to plot and plan after Hungrybox had delivered a devastating pair of defeats on a super major stage. And in fairness, Hungrybox should have assumed Armada was cooking up something nasty. After an excruciating first 2 games in which Armada's Peach simply couldn't keep up with Hungrybox's Puff, it was time.
Chill guy, man. Fox? Did I hear Fox?
A lot of it came down to the fact that I couldn't really get much practice, and at this point, like 3.5 years later, the H-Box is like honestly good at the matchup now for sure. So for me, it made more sense to find a more reliable pick that can like guaranteed work long term.
Snatching a win on Pokemon Stadium after H-Box whiffed a game-winning rest was one thing, but taking an absolute grinder of a Game 4 on H-Box's Dreamland counterpick, that's something else entirely. It took frankly absurd levels of clutch boxing to seal this one in Game 5, and that should have been the sign that Hungrybox's winning streak was going to be short-lived. Hungrybox would find his way through a couple of times, most notably a double elimination of Armada on the Swedes' home turf at DreamHack Winter 2015, but in the 2 years between EVOs 2014 and 2016, it was clear. The Fox was the answer Armada had needed all along. Armada had a 10-5 set count over Hungrybox in that span, including 3 double eliminations on massive stages: EVO 2015, the Big House 5, and Smash Summit 2.
I do think me, and to a certain degree Hungrybox as well, had that extra consistency that a lot of players did not have.
In a lot of ways, the rivalry between Hungrybox and Armada paralleled the way Melee had evolved since they first met in 2010. These two forced each other to break the social contract that seemed to rule high-level play in the game's early days. Yeah, players were trying to win, but they were going to do it by approaching and scrapping it out and fighting and boxing and being cool. Hungrybox had broken through to the top level in part by refusing to play to these norms. And when Armada realized this, he wasn't about to end the tournaments he had flown across an ocean to attend by just running in on that Jigglypuff over and over until he died. We had been warned, this kind of play was going to kill the game. In a way, maybe it did. You couldn't go to tournaments anymore and expect your opponents to play a certain kind of Melee. You had to accept that some players were going to do whatever it took to win, even if you thought that made them look bad or boring or some much nastier words that you could probably hear on the commentary of old sets if you really needed to look back. And yet, here we were, watching the 29th matchup between these two players duke it out in the Mandalay Bay Arena on the Evolution main stage. They're in grand finals of a 2,372 entrant tournament, still the largest offline Melee bracket ever conducted to this day. If Melee had died, then long live Melee, I guess.
As an aside, shout out to the Hungrybox for you know, we used to call this like 70-30.
Yeah.
And now it's like, but he beats every Fox, so...
H-Box started the set out with a win on Battlefield and made a huge statement with a 2-stock on Armada's counterpick, Pokemon Stadium. But Armada struck back even harder, with a 3-stock on FD and a 2-stock on Hungrybox's standard counterpick of Dreamland 64. But rather than try it again on the stage that lets Puff live Fox's many devastating upwards hits the longest, he took Armada to Battlefield for Game 5. There might have been a fear that these two weren't the people you wanted showcasing your game on the biggest stage, and it wasn't a matter of skill, it was a matter of aesthetics. Melee's appeal for so many comes from its speed. Armada and Hungrybox were, at their core, the two best players in the world at shutting down the fastest opponents. The two best anti-swag players in the world. But that wasn't what they were giving the audience on that Sunday. There were no timeouts, not even any near timeouts. That was part of the evolution of their rivalry. They had pushed defensive play as far as they could take it, but that wasn't the extent of their adaptations. Hungrybox's attempts at using Spacey showed he understood the timer wasn't going to be his answer to Young Link, and Armada's Fox showed the same understanding after H-Box finally acquired the punish game necessary to make Jigglypuff Young Link look like the winning matchup it actually is.
Young Link? I'll put 55-45. Maybe, actually. I don't think Young Link beats Puff at all. It used to be like really, really hard, and they would counterpick it. You can camp Puff a lot, but I don't think... Well, no, I put him above. I'll put him here. I'll put him here. Because he's better against Puff than these 6. I'll say that. Yeah, Armada and Axe have proven it.
The whole set was more electric than most probably expected from these two, but Game 5 was where things really reached another level. Armada drew first blood with a clean jab up smash. HBox came right back, forward throwing Armada off stage and benefiting from a failed double jump forward air attempt as Armada plummeted to his death, still dead even. Armada again took the lead thanks to a ridiculously clean jab conversion, this time into an up air. And he got Hungrybox to kill percent on the next stock, but the Puff was able to stem the bleeding with a big back air off the left side. A missed tech punish early in the next stock gave Armada the game's first decisive lead of full stock. This one was particularly big as it took the rest off the table for Hungrybox until he could even up the game, and from here it was Armada's tournament to win. HBox and Armada kept trading damage, pushing Armada ever closer to the victory. The first near miss came with 3 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock, as Puff just barely floated over a Fox up smash that absolutely would have obliterated her. And then, just a few seconds later, came quite possibly the most pivotal frame in Melee history. Hungrybox's SDI saved the stock and prolonged the game, denying Armada an Evo repeat, at least for now. He hit another falling nair, but HBox DI'd that one well too, far enough away to avoid any follow-up. And then, Armada finally made a mistake. After playing immaculately off the ledge, avoiding any punishes harder than a throw, he finally got caught dashing into a back air. The stocks were even, and suddenly, rest was back on the table, and Clutch God was online. Now, is this an even game? Well, no, but in one sense, yes. Both players could conceivably die off of a single hit. Hungrybox nearly gave up that hit too, giving Armada a tournament winner, but he was too focused on his lasers after coming down from the Angel platform. And Armada wouldn't get another opportunity.
Armada not giving him anything. Not what he gets. He gets that could be it. Meets the double jump. Wakes up air dodge for Armada. He's got to play one more set. Hungrybox sitting back down. What a sequence from Hungrybox.
Now, Armada didn't take that laying down. Hungrybox did jump out to an early lead in the first game of the reset, but Armada's Fox could be explosive from behind in a way his Young Link and Peach just couldn't. Armada carried Hungrybox up the stairway to heaven to take the lead and closed it out from there.
Who cares if you have a 3-stock to 1 lead? You know what I'm saying? Who cares if you're out playing into the neutral?
Right.
Who cares if your punishes look good?
That's Fox Puff, dude. That's the nature of the beast. Oh, that opposite of the tech trap.
Guess what, Toad?
What's up?
Apparently this doesn't matter.
Well, so much for momentum. All it took was one hit for Hungrybox to swing it back to his side, and Armada wouldn't be able to find any of the brilliant punishes he used to get back into Game 1. We're tied 1-1. Game 3 was on Armada's counterpick, Final Destination. He wasn't able to make much of his first early lead, dying almost immediately after HBox respawned, but Armada was able to take this lead once again, and this time he ran with it. After baiting HBox to approach with a whipped up smash, Armada found the clean nair up smash conversion to take a 2-stock lead that he would slowly but surely bring home to once again put himself on Evo point. HBox's Dreamland counterpick failed him in set 1, where he had an additional game to play with. Armada was one of the best players in the world on that stage, and had routinely counterpicked it against Hungrybox at points in their rivalry. But with Battlefield, the counterpick that worked in set 1 eliminated by Dave's stupid rule, Hungrybox probably felt like he had no choice. Including the win in Game 3 of set 1, Armada's Fox had a 13-9 or 59% win rate over Hungrybox's Puff on Dreamland to that point. But honestly, none of the choices looked that good on paper. And it did look rough. Armada found a crazy whiff punish to take the first stock, and when HBox whiffed a rest to lose his second, Armada once again had the inside track to another Evo win. The Hungrybox comeback started slow this time. He chipped away slowly with dash attack of all things, evening out the stock count, but he needed one of those trademark HBox clutch stocks to really bring this one back. Oh. Armada had the advantage early on in the final stock of Game 4, but come on, it's Fox Puff. Do you really think these percents matter?
Armada playing the vertical game. Crouch cancels into a shine, not a KO move. Oh, what's he gonna get? And the rest!
Game 5! He missed the first rest opportunity.
You see it again and again.
In Game 5, we saw Hungrybox pitted against his greatest foe. No, not Armada, he's been playing with him for a while now, not even Game 5 Armada. That would be Fox on Pokemon Stadium. After a tense back and forth first stock, HBox found the lead off of an edge guard, and he slowed things down to a crawl. Armada had to grind for the stock, finding multiple jab 1s to pop H-Box in the air, but was unable to find the follow-up kill shot. But all that time hanging off stage and back airing meant Hungrybox wasn't really threatening Armada's second stock. He piled on a bit of damage, sure, but Armada eventually evened out the stock count. They both played cagey for a bit, only finding some small hits, but then Hungrybox found a grab on the right side, and the next 30 seconds would all but seal the deal. Sure, Armada got him back with the up smash off the Angel platform, but now the situation from the first Game 5 was reversed. Puff had the lead, the ability to run away, and the ability to pop a rest whenever he wanted. It turned out, he wouldn't even need it. Armada did find an up air to take an early stock, but he was already at 138%. And when Armada gave Hungrybox an EVO tournament winner, unlike when the situation was reversed in the first set, Hungrybox did not miss. Welcome to a moment in history.
That'll do it. Armada's got one last chance at life.
Let's go to the skies. Whose ear is this?
Beats a back there. This is big. He recovers. Oh, and the tournament winner.
Racing, and then they had to be 2016. Hungrybox won with a miraculous win in set 1 of Grand Finals, and able to beat Armada on such strong counterpick stage to Fox. That went to the very end.
Not only that, but the very end of the first set and the second set of Grand Finals. With Armada looking like he was just going to take it all. With a 3-0 comeback in the first set of Grands. Hungrybox with the clutchest of comebacks to reset the bracket. And then a neck-and-neck second set of Grand Finals all the way to the bitter end.
And the book of who is the best of all time in Melee is open as wide as possible.
Personally, I think both me and Hungrybox, we have always had a lot of respect for each other as people. I've never had any issues with Hungrybox myself, and I don't think he has ever had any issues with me. I do think we both understand the fact that we are not always, at times, the biggest fan of each other's playstyle when we're playing against each other. But at the same time, I think we highly respect the fact that we both really did everything to win. We both did, undeniably. We were both willing to go to timeouts if that what it took. We were willing to swap to low tiers if we thought that was the right play. We literally tried all possible options to overcome each other. And I do think that's a big sign of respect, if you were to ask me.
Most people remember Melee for its popular combos. People like the flashy, offensive, fast-paced action of the game, and it's hard to blame them. But few, even avid players of the game, can appreciate the intricacies of defense, because it isn't flashy, it isn't offensive, and it isn't fast-paced. But this moment, forever engraved in Melee's history, is kind of a representation of Hungrybox and his career. And there's a lot of beauty in something so ordinary. It's not like Hungrybox hadn't won a major before, but not one like this, and certainly not in the way this one went down. According to data collected by Melee Stats legend Pikachu 942, Hungrybox had won 9 majors prior to EVO 2016. 7 times he had won that tournament without dropping a set. The other 2, he was the one to make it into Grands, got reset, and clawed it back in the second set. He hadn't ever won from losers finals, much less losers quarters, where he had to start his EVO 2016 run after falling to Plup in winter semis. Let's go back to that Game 5 finish from the first set. Armada had it at a few points, none more obvious than when Hungrybox SDI'd out of the would-be EVO winning up air. Now let's go back to a question I teased at earlier. Was this actually the single most impactful frame in Melee history? There's a great argument to be made for it, and it's not just because of the stage, not just because of the stakes, and not just because of the size of the tournament. Even without this win, Armada's case as the GOAT is very strong, and anybody who takes Mango over him would be hard-pressed to make a case for ranking Armada any worse than second. The clear closest contender to those two players, though, is Hungrybox, and that is not how it was looking prior to 2016. He had his position as one of the 5 gods, but he was considered the weakest link of that chain for a long time. As great as he was, he never really had a case to be considered the best Melee player in the world. And a lot of that was because he simply couldn't do what he did so often in winners when he was put into losers, no matter how late. These kinds of things are just numbers though, and they only have as much power as you give them. But Hungrybox has talked about this in the past. He did give power to this idea that he couldn't pull himself together for losers runs. It's honestly a big part of why he enlisted Crunch's help as his coach, and a big reason why Crunch was the first guy you see Hungrybox find after he comes out of the stupor that overcame him when he closed out that win.
I wouldn't say he was like afraid of anyone taking over, but like based on the past years, he had been the front runner to do it. I think that's fair to say. At the time, if someone asked me, I probably would have guessed him, but it's hard to say. But he obviously had some very strong years, especially when he started working with Captain Crunch. It was kind of like they unlocked like a different level to HBox and his play. And I mean, I think you can see a clear difference from like EVO 2015 and forward for Hungrybox.
EVO 2016 changed everything. Hungrybox affirmed himself as Clutchbox, and his losers run play elevated to match what he had already shown on winner's side for so long. He made losers runs to win GTX and the Big House 7 in 2017. He made one of the longest losers runs ever at Low Tier City 7 in 2019. A 9-set romp, one of a select few in Melee history to begin from outside of top 8. The only others who can say they've done that are Mango at Pound 3 and Press Start, and Cody Schwab at the Big House 11 and Battle of BC 6. So it's not just about the insane drama and high level of play that the set brought. It's also about its incredibly pivotal place in Melee history. It was the single biggest turning point in Hungrybox's career. Without this run, without this win, do you really think his 3-year run on top of the game even happens? I don't even think Hungrybox thinks that. Honestly, good luck finding a set that can combine dramatic moments, skilled play, and historical importance like that Grand Finals. And for those reasons, Hungrybox vs Armada at EVO 2016 deserves to be considered the greatest set of all time.
I know it's personal stuff, but he told me, you'll never be the best. You'll be good, but you'll never be the best. So I hope he sees me now.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to turndownforwalt.
Thank you so much for watching this documentary. I hope you enjoyed it, and much gratitude goes to all of my patrons who make videos like these possible, especially Avishua Stein, Bobby Wasabi, Eric is Cool, Nick Macaman, and NNG Esports. If you'd like to help support me in making more videos like these, please feel free to contribute through the link in the description, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help a lot more than you may know. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.